chronicling the events around the only time that a British commercial aircraft has ever been hijacked, now on BBC Two, the start of a brand new series of Time Watch.
6th of September 1970. A Palestinian guerrilla group carries out simultaneous hijackings on 4 planes bound for New York City.
This has probably been the most hazardous day ever plotted in the history of air travel.
I was threatening, telling them, if you don't open the door, I will explode the plane.
I turned round and this passenger was pointing a gun at me.
The last thing I heard from her was the calm, steady and very British voice of her captain saying he was going to take her up to 6,000 feet.
British hostages became caught up in a media spectacular played out in front of the world's press.
The aim was to reach to the minds of people in the West.
Raising the question, should governments negotiate with hijackers?
The hijackers said that they would blow the plane and passengers up if anyone tried to approach.
They're desperate men. They feel they've been done a wrong, and to get their ends, they will do what they say.
Sometimes I think, oh, he'll maybe be home tomorrow, but other times I think he won't get out of it.
With interviews from hijackers, hostages, and their families at home, tonight, Time Watch takes you back to the day that air travel changed forever. El Al Flight 219 en route from Amsterdam to New York. This woman is traveling on a fake passport. Her real name is Layla Khaled, and she is a highly trained member of the guerrilla group, the PFLP, the Popular Front for the Liberation of Palestine. This man, whose real name is Patrick Arguello, is an American-born sympathizer of the Palestinian cause. In a few moments, they are going to attempt to hijack this plane in the name of the PFLP. The PFLP's primary goal was to recapture territory it considered stolen by Israel and to return it to the Palestinian people. It was one of the largest groups in the PLO, the Palestinian Liberation Organization, second only to Yasser Arafat's Fatah party. Palestinians living in refugee camps in Lebanon, Syria, and Jordan swelled the party's membership. Many of these refugees had fled from their homes in 1948, following the creation of the State of Israel. One of those to have left her hometown of Haifa was Layla Khaled. She had grown up in exile in Lebanon.
All the time I was asking, and my sisters and brothers were asking, why are we living like that? Why did we leave Haifa? Because we had a house, we were well off, while here we have nothing. And all the time my mother was answering that we are going back and we have to go back.
Initially, PFLP Fedayeen trained in regular guerrilla fighting techniques to achieve their goal.
We had to be trained to use pistols and machine guns, and also how to use explosives.
But it was soon apparent that a ground war was not winnable. Instead, the PFLP launched a campaign against the civilian air fleets of Israel and her Western allies.
The weak will choose his own way in hitting the weak points of the strong. Shocking the world would come with something shocking.
The starboard side caught the worst of the attack and was sprayed with bullets from submachine guns in 5 bursts of fire.
his cabin was filled with smoke after the explosion, and his last words are reported here in Switzerland today as, "I can't see anything. Goodbye, everyone."
These violent acts cost many innocent lives and received worldwide condemnation, especially in Israel. El Al responded by tightening its security. Hiding among the passengers were armed sky marshals.
We had to scream, "Stay in your places, nobody moves." We ran directly to the front, heading to the cockpit.
I picked up the galley phone, and as a security measure, there was a specific button that I was supposed to press.
When the door wouldn't open, they took the stewardess and told her, "Come with us to the door. Yell to them to open it up. If they don't open it, we'll kill you. We'll shoot you."
I had a flight engineer who was looking out of a peephole in the cockpit door and could see what was happening.
He was just screaming, telling him, "If you don't open the door, I will explode the plane."
The hijacker saw me moving, and he came over to me and shot me in the leg. He said, "If you move again, I'll shoot you." I took another step forward and I jumped on the hijacker. He shot me in the shoulder, but I caught hold of his gun the way I had been trained to do. I hit him hard against the door with my right hand, and we both fell on the floor.
Because I had come from the Air Force and I was a combat pilot, I had the idea of negative G, whereby you throw the plane into a steep dive.
It was going vertically, very rapidly.
When we were lying on the ground, he and I were struggling. The security guard came running up from behind, and he stood over us and shot his whole magazine. I got 2 bullets. We were lying on each other, and he got 3 bullets.
And we started to wrestle, and she was strong. The first thing I did was I grabbed her hair. Suddenly, I had her wig in my hand. In the end, she surrendered. I took my tie off, which was the only thing I could tie her with. I took my tie off, and then we bound her hands.
And I realized that we couldn't do it. And at that moment, I realized that.
20 minutes after takeoff from Amsterdam, Captain Yuri Bar-Lev diverted El Al Flight 219 to London Heathrow. On its arrival, Layla Khaled was arrested by the British authorities. But the El Al hijack was just one part of the PFLP's bigger plan. At 12:20, a TWA flight en route from Frankfurt to New York was hijacked. An hour later, a Swiss airplane out of Zurich, also heading for New York, was hijacked over France. Finally, a Pan Am flight, which had just left Amsterdam, was captured and taken to Cairo, where, with no loss of life, the plane was eventually destroyed. The TWA and Swiss air flights were on their way to Jordan, much of which was under Palestinian control. They landed at Dawson's Field, a remote desert airstrip just outside of the capital, Amman. But they were not alone for long.
We've just driven for an hour across the open desert to this incredibly dangerous and dramatic situation in which the people in these 2 aircraft find themselves. There are more than 150 commandos dug in around these 2 aircraft at this particular moment. And in an outer ring around the commandos is the Jordanian army with more than 50 tanks and armoured personnel carriers. The commandos have told the army that if they don't move back, that if they don't leave them alone, they'll blow up the 2 aircraft immediately.
Back in London, the government was pondering over what to do with Layla Khaled. In the meantime, she was moved to a secure police station in central London.
The 24-year-old Arab girl is in